Hey everybody, welcome to Sunday YIN and my small but mighty yoga channel, Yoga with Simone. I'm going to offer a 30-minute practice today, short and sweet, but something good for reminding us that, once again, there's always time, even for YIN. The YIN practice tends to take its time. So I was of the mind for a long time that there was no reason to do a YIN class unless it could be 75 minutes long or 90 minutes long. But I think that I've shifted gears on that, and I think there's always a right time and place, and if it means moving slowly in a smaller pocket of time, then that's what it means. You're going to need rolled up towels or a block. You can also grab 2 blocks. And you're going to need a strap for practice. I don't have any blocks here because I'm away from my home, so I'm using these rolled up towels that I've mentioned in the past to you guys who've joined me on this YouTube channel and within these practices. Here's my strap. It doesn't have to be a strap. It can be the strap that holds onto your mat. And if you want to be creative, you could use your husband's tie. Haha. A man's tie. We're going to take a seat. I'm going to invite you to get into hero's pose. If that works, you can sit on your knees like I'm doing. Shoelaces to the mat. That's going to give you an immediate stretch in your ankles. If that's too much and you've got cramps sometimes, you can use your prop, block or towel, and you can prop your sit bones a little higher, right? That's one way. Or you can sit cross-legged on your towel or block. So I'm going to do a lotus pose. When you sit on a prop with your sit bones up, your pelvic floor tilts down. Helps you to get longer in the spine. And it also makes it a little more accessible to sit up tall, but also have these cross-legged shapes with our legs. Gonna grab your strap, make sure it's unwind, and just put your hands on your knees or your thighs. Take a seat, sit up tall, ground through the sit bones. So wherever your sit bones make connection, let that be an invitation to sit up taller and lengthen to the spine, and also claim the mat. Wherever you may be, let the sounds around you kind of add a bit of texture to the moment you're in. So some of us will be lucky enough to have nature. But even if you're at home and it's a busy household, or if there's kids, that's a kind of texture that we have an opportunity to lean into. Being lucky enough to be surrounded, even with its challenges. If you're in a city and you can hear the city moving around, being aware enough to know that. Lucky enough to hear it. Kind of build a little bit of a soundtrack that starts to suit you for your practice. And then long your breathing here. Flip your palms up if they aren't up, and notice a little bit more being offered and thus being able to receive. And then start to explore longer breaths. These longer breaths dipping into an ujjayi expression. Inhale through the nose towards the back of the throat, which is slightly constricted, down and into the lower belly. And then exhale out the nose with a bit of a ha sound. Almost like you attempt to fog up the mirrors. Inhale. And then out the nose, exhale. Bring the hands to heart. Breathe in. Breathe out. Bring the prayer hands to your forehead. Breathe in. Breathe out. Make your way into a child's pose. And draw your knees wider, toes touch. In your child's pose, we're going to take a couple more breaths. Not here as long as we would be in our class or that 75 minutes. You may notice that you have a ton of space in this child's pose. Or you may need to prop your forehead or heart. For those that are feeling a little bit too intense in the ankles, or for those that can't get the butt towards the heels, you can always prop as many props as necessary in between the heels. Sew the space between the heels and the sit bones so that you can feel a little more grounded to throw your effort away. More than halfway through this child's pose. Stretch your arms longer. So you're going to walk your fingertips forward. And then press into it. If you have or so or anywhere, just moving those. Framing the mat. In tabletop, curl your toes under. And we're going to return to a child's pose with toes curled under so that the heels stay lifted. You're going to take 5 breaths here, feeling the plantar fascia of your feet open up. Ujjayi breaths, inhale through the nose, back of the throat, slightly constricted in that space, all the way down to the lower belly. And then out the nose for a little bit of a ha sound. Come out of the opening of the feet, up into tabletop. Step your knees back and make your way onto your belly and your forearms for Sphinx pose. Sphinx and really lands in its, if you can hang your belly heavy, soften your butt cheeks, relax your shoelaces to the mat. Find a sweet but effortless position for your head. So your gaze typically will be ahead of your mat, your chin sweetly at neutral. For those that want to add on to this and maybe bring something into the neck, body, and upper spine, you could hang your head heavy. And I do mean heavy like it's dead weight, while propping yourself up on your elbows and forearms. Keep it soft, relaxed. No charge whatsoever in the legs or buttocks. If your head's hanging heavy, you're going to bring that head back up to a neutral spot. You're going to lift your left arm so that your left arm is straight as you press into the left palm. Right arm through and underneath. But try not to roll your heart away from the floor. In fact, left side of your torso is pretty flat to the floor. And you might even just rest your forehead on your left forearm with your heart and belly grounded in a kind of prone pose, belly shavasana, so that you get a nice little bit of crushed wing here on the right shoulder. Remember to make use of your experience and the soundtrack that surrounds your practice. You can practice awareness at every turn, but you can also practice grounding in your practice while noticing things. You don't necessarily follow that communication. You don't necessarily follow where or what or story it. It might just be a dog, it might just be a bird, it might just be the kids. And leave it at that. Picking up your head, pressing into the left palm by the left side of your body, sliding the right arm out, freeing the space of the right shoulder. And from Sphinx pose again, just noticing if anything's opened up in the back body and if the belly can hang even heavier here as you return to this shape. Fan your hands out. Straighten the right arm as you press through the right palm and thread the left arm through as much as possible so that you get a nice pull through the outer left shoulder. And then you can even look in the opposite direction from where your left hand is pointing. Or you can just simply put your forehead to your right forearm and ground. Ground in being submissive in this shape. Crushed wing on the other side. About 2 more breaths here. Picking up your head, pressing the right palm down, sliding the left arm out and return to Sphinx pose. Forearms to the mat and elbows underneath the shoulders. Here, curl the toes under, point the heels straight up, and feel that plantar fascia open up for another time. Also adds on something to the lower back as you stretch into this Sphinx pose when you do this with your feet. If you want a little more, you can get out of the plantar fascia stretch and bend your legs with the soles of your feet facing your ceiling or sky, and a bit of flex on the feet will also add on. Three, neutral head for this. 2, 1. If your legs are bent, get them straight, toes to the ground, heels point up for a beat. Fan your hands out, fingers point out to the corners of the mat. Press into the palms and ground down to straighten the arms a little or all the way into seal for 3, for 2, bend the arms, come down slow, belly, heart kisses the floor, hands underneath the shoulders. Draw the legs together like you're zipping them, and then press into a child's pose. But I want you to do it with your knees together so that it forces you a little bit more to curl in, round in through the spine, forehead close to the knees. And a little tip crown of the head to the mat. As you surrender to this child's pose, you should feel a little bit, even just a little bit, a space opening up in that lower back. You can breathe in as though your lungs sit there and breathe out. And you're going to roll up out of this, sitting your bum to heels. You can take your strap with you. And then for this one, we will be sitting our bum to heels, Virasana pose, knees to your mat. Hero's pose. Again, you can build a little bit of space here if you need to prop your sit bones higher. And then you're going to grab your strap, and we're just going to get a little bit of mobility here to open up our arms and our shoulders and our chest. Wide, about just a little wider than shoulders. Holding the strap, inhale, the arms up overhead. Pulling, exhale, the arms behind. Holding on, inhale, the arms overhead. Exhale, the arms out in front. Variation, inhale, the arms overhead. Listen. Exhale, the arms up and over to the left. Inhale, the arms back to center. Exhale, up and over to the right. Whoo. Inhale, the arms center. Listen. Exhale, the arms behind. Ooh, that feels super challenging, but interesting and good. Inhale, the arms up overhead. Exhale, the arms out in front. Let go of the strap. Inhale, the arms overhead. Listen, exhale, the right arm underneath the left. Elbows meet, cross, wrap the forearms, eagle arms. Keep the elbows high. If you cannot do this wrap bind of the forearms, hug for opposite shoulder blades. Breathe in, elbows higher. Breathe out, round in. Breathe in, elbows back up, heart up, sit up. Breathe out, let the arms go. One more. Arms high, inhale. Left arm underneath the right, elbows meet, wrap the arms. Keep the elbows high. If you can't do this, hug for opposite shoulder blades. 4 breaths here. Inhale, the arms up. You can look up. Keep the eagle arms. Garudasana arms fold. Exhale. Keep the seat grounded. 3, 2. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, let these arms go. Take your time. Lay down in a final pose that we can stay in for a minute, 5 or 10, depending on whether you need to rock and roll out of this half-hour practice. I'm going to layer 2 rolled up towels, vertical, behind me in line with my spine. I'm going to make sure my butt is on the ground. Head will hang back, but should be able to touch the ground. open heart surgery final shape. And the cool thing about this is we're not even quite at a half hour yet. So you could do this practice of open heart for 3 minutes. And then you could commit to doing at least 6 minutes of Shavasana. And you'd be like at about 32 minutes. Or you could do a couple minutes here. And then loop right back into a Shavasana or a seated place, somewhere that's neutral. And you'd have yourself a 30-minute practice. For those that have the time, I'm going to let you decide if you can be here for a little more. If you're working with that kind of 30-minute thing, you'd lift your head a little higher than your heart. I do that with the help of a hand. I'd sit up slow, and I'd remove my props and take myself back to Shavasana. A proper, neutral Shavasana. Hopefully you feel a little more spacious across the chest, body, arms. And what I invite you to do throughout your day is whatever little bit of space cracked open, use it in the way of finding really big and powerful, deliberate deep breaths. So whether it's you're in the middle of doing something or in a conversation, especially if something challenges you today, just stop for a beat, lean into what you cracked open earlier on, and big breath in and big breath out. Namaste.